So now that you've got your central control unit mounted, or even if you don't, what we need to talk about is registering the central control unit. The registration process is when you put in the site details and actually create the digital representation of your building in Airoverse. So this is how you set up the remote access portion, and it all happens through this device. Then you can log in remotely. And the reason I say you can register your central control unit prior to showing up for the install is because it can actually have some benefits for your support during the installation. As you add the zones, you start to get access to the data coming from the site. Until you add the zones, you don't really know what's happening. You don't have a floor plan. You don't have a heat map to look at when you log in remotely. So having that heat map is incredibly valuable to the Airoverse support team who might be logging in to look at the site with you during the installation. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take our tablet off. We push in the two tabs from the top, and we take our central control unit out, and we're going to go ahead and start registering this device. Whether I'm on site or not, you don't have to follow the guideline of registering before you get there. It just can have some benefits for you. Most people kind of register as they go. Okay, so this is a brand new central control unit, and what we're going to do is you just tap on CCU and it takes you to the next screen. So the next screen is choosing the type of installation you're doing. So you can create a new site. That's what we're going to do today. Creating a new site, you have to type in your address and the primary facility and primary installer, which we'll do here in just a minute. And then that creates the site so that you can add CCUs to the existing site going forward. So your second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th CCU are all going to be add CCU to an existing site, and that's so when you log in remotely, if you have more than one central control unit, they're all associated with a single site, not different addresses with the same pin drop overlaying each other on the map. The next one down is replace an existing CCU. So it happens from time to time that somebody drives a forklift into this, or you drop it off the roof or down the stairwell, or something of that nature, and it's busted and you need to replace it. So what you don't have to do is reprogram everything or go dig up an old file for the supervisor here. All you have to do is generate a 6-digit PIN for the site, which our support team can do for you, or you can do from one of the other CCUs on the site. You type that in, and then it allows you to download the same configuration onto a brand new tablet. And that means you walk up, type in a 6-digit PIN, give it a couple minutes to download, hit save, and then boom, you pop it in the old one's place, and all your devices start communicating again. But like I said, we're going to do create new site. You're going to connect to the Wi-Fi. This is just an Android tablet. So you choose the network you want to connect to, type in the Wi-Fi credentials, and we're just going to hit next because we were already connected. And this is where you create your site. So you'll only have to do this on the very first CCU in the site. If you're typing in address information on your second CCU, you did something wrong. You are creating two sites for the same building. So let's go ahead and type in some info. The site name, again, that's going to be whatever site you're at, whatever building you're in. If you're at a university, you're going to call it, University Building B, whatever that might be. So in my case, I'm going to call it Matt's Training. And I'm just going to put today's date, and that's only so I remember what this is later. All right, then I'm going to type in my address. The address is mostly important for your weather information. Whenever we're doing outside optimizations, we're actually using the web data if it's available. So we'll type that in. Then you have to name your CCU. So that's the central control unit itself. So if it's acting as a gateway for just a bunch of water source heat pumps, you might call it Gateway 1. If it's controlling a zoned VVT system, you might want to call it the name of the air handler it's controlling, like AHU 26 or something like that. The other thing I try to get in the CCU name is its physical location, because sometimes it can be hard to find these, a year after you install or 3 years after your install. So putting the suite number or whatever room it's installed in can be super useful. So the best way, oops, not lowercase, AHU 26, and we'll say it's in the mechanical room, suite 216. So now I know the number on the side of the unit, and I also know what suite we actually installed the physical device in. Next, we're going to type in the facility manager email. This is the admin on the site. This is the person who can remove any other type of user and make changes to the site. So typically this needs to be the building owner or the facility manager. So I'm going to type in my email here. And the installer. So this will be the primary installer on the site. Again, any of this can be changed after the fact. But we're going to put in an installer email. And this person also gets access to Airoverse as soon as we're done. Okay, and then the organization. The organization is most useful when you're doing a campus deployment where you have a bunch of different sites that are all being linked to one central control authority. Or if you've got a big franchise, if you had a bunch of Kohl's stores or something like that, you might want to put in Kohl's in the store number. So in my case, I'm just going to put my initials and today's date to make it very specific so I know what this is. And then at the end, you hit next, and it's going to add the new site. It's going to tell me congratulations, tells me some info about the site. Go ahead and hit finish. And then it's handshaking with the cloud to create that digital representation of the site in the Airoverse cloud. So from there, you're going to be able to log in remotely and start seeing the data coming from this CCU and any zones that I add to it thereafter. So now we're just going to wait a minute. It takes just a minute for it to finish that process. All right. Okay, so once you see this screen here, it can take it can take a few minutes, up to 15 minutes for your weather widget to actually load the local weather data. But once you see this screen, your CCU is fully registered. You have a site now associated in the Airoverse cloud. So when you log into Airoverse, you're going to have a site with data coming from this CCU and any zones that you pair thereafter. So the final step is to go ahead and connect it to your CCU, and we'll cover this again when we go to pair everything. But essentially, just like we talked about, you dock it, and what you're going to see down on the bottom is USB ready. And I'm going to see that my little charging icon on the battery shows up, the little lightning bolt there. That tells me that I did successfully make a connection with those pins, and that now I'm connected to my 900 megahertz antenna for the mesh communication. So that's the CCU registration. We'll get into the pairing steps here and each of the products coming up.